that is the use of these WNBA referees pretty much altering games, changing the outcome of games, and something has to be done in regards to that matter. The WNBA referees has definitely been playing a major role in who's winning games and who's losing games.
Did you witness the recent events in the WNBA? On camera, a referee was seen pursuing Caitlin Clark. This is not merely a minor error. We were discussing a serious controversy that is rocking the league as a whole. How horrible could it really be, you ask yourself? It's worse than you might think, I'll tell you. We have video evidence that Clark is being singled out, and it's so obvious you'll be screaming at your computer. This is where things start to get interesting, though. You will be shocked by the WNBA's reaction to this shocking disclosure. When something isn't quite right, you know how it feels. When you're watching a game, you can't help but notice that something is strange. Caitlin Clark has been experiencing that emotion throughout the season. The referees are acting as though they aren't noticing her playing with a target on her back.
She got landing zone fouled at least 5 times that weren't called. She got the Kennedy Carter one that was called as a normal foul on the day. The eye poke, even if you believe it wasn't intentional, it's still a flagrant one. The Alyssa Thomas shoulder barge to the face, there were a lot of blatant flaggers that weren't called.
Let's talk about Clark's particular whistle. I promise you that it's not the kind you desire, rather, it's the kind that doesn't blow when it should. This type of whistle has supporters scratching their heads and yelling at their televisions while opponents get away with murder, and Clark is left wondering what went wrong.
Lads, we watched the WNBA season this year, and we know that Caitlin Clark's whistle was a strange one. We know that she had a very, very strange whistle, and we know that the reality of the situation is that she got flagrantly fouled 5 or 6 times throughout the year. It should have been 10.
Do you recall that matchup with Chicago? Clark is a driver to the basket, focused and resolute. She has that expression in her eyes that indicates she is going to accomplish something. Then, suddenly, she's on the ground, severely struck down. A whistle is expected, and the crowd gasps. But you know what? No phone call, nothing, not at all. It's as if the referee lost their ability to use their whistles or turned blind. This is where things get insane, though. The NBA experiences the same thing, and all of a sudden, things are completely different. We're talking about whistles blowing, flags flying, and possibly even a player or two being kicked out. Everyone is wondering why this double standard exists, and it's like night and day. However, this is a humorous. The NBA media were pleased. Not even, I won't say happy, but we're thinking, oh, these are just typical fouls. This is just your typical basketball game. It is now more significant when it occurs in the NBA. The fact that there was only one rule for Caitlin and one for everyone else is where the issue lies. We're going to dissect just what occurred in both leagues, and the difference will astound you. Players get called for hard fouls in the NBA. Risky plays are quickly stopped, but it seems like the WNBA has a completely other set of rules, and Clark is stuck in the thick of it all. Let's discuss egregious fouls, the plays that make you cringe just by looking at them, the ones that make you think, oh, that must hurt the referees, or acting as though they've lost their minds after Caitlin Clark was subjected to several doozies. The Chicago Sky committed 80% of those egregious fouls against Caitlin Clark this season. Imagine Caitlin Clark, who is adamant about scoring, driving to the hoop. She has that fire in her eyes that tells you to try to stop me. Then all of a sudden, she is essentially being attacked in court. You can practically feel the impact of the blow that pushed us to the ground through the screen. That should be a flagrant by default, wouldn't it? Unnecessary or excessive touch is what the rule book says. That is a blatant infraction. People, hold on to your seats because you won't believe what happened next. The referees, they simply dismissed it. No call, no whistle, nothing. They appeared to be watching an entirely different game. Is it not unbelievable? The game continues as if nothing had happened, even though Clark is on the floor and most likely watching celebrities. The audience is erupting. Such calls ought to be made and examined. People should be aware from the start that players shouldn't believe they can still harm Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese in the first round of the playoffs. Alyssa Smith should have taken swift action when she essentially choke-slammed Angel Reese. The worst part is still to come. This is not a one-time occurrence. We will walk you through a number of. There are a number of these crazy plays, not just two. The referees are giving free shots, and it seems like Clark is the target. That game against the Sky, do you recall? Bam. Clark is driving to the basket. You would believe they were in a boxing ring rather than a basketball floor because of how hard Diamond D. Shields smacks her. This one, which is seen here. That, in my opinion, ought to have been a blatant foul, wasn't. The fact that the league's face receives almost 20% of all flagrant fouls against her raises concerns, even when there have been cheap shots, hard fouls, and other plays that haven't even been flagrantly foul. And the players aren't the only ones who need to resolve that problem. That starts at the top and extends down to the commissioner level, as if that's the level that must have authority over such matters. Additionally, the referees. They appear to be waiting for a bus or something as they stand there. Nothing, no call. It's insane, but hold on, it gets worse. Have you heard of Danana Bonner? She made a move on Clark, though. That will make you wonder if you're watching WWE or basketball. Imagine that in a postseason game, Clark is stepping up for a three-pointer. The audience is standing at this pivotal moment. What is Bonner's job? Clark is undercut by her. We're talking about a blatant, egregious infraction that might ruin a career. What about the referees? They are behaving as though they have forgotten their whistles at home. Come on, it can't be that horrible, you may be thinking. Perhaps they are simply allowing them to play. The problem is that this is risky and goes beyond simple basketball. We are discussing plays that have the potential to do serious harm to anyone. And this isn't simply what the supporters are saying. Commentators, coaches, and players are all speaking up. All of them are demanding more stringent regulations. The WNBA should, in my opinion, have even more lenient and stringent regulations regarding. More prone to fouls than the NBA. Following these games, social media is a flurry of activity with people, highlighting the missed calls. They're drawing comparisons to the NBA, and the differences are striking. Players would be ejected from the NBA more quickly than you could say technical foul for hits like these. The players shouldn't be dismissed in either scenario, according to posts made by fans. The refereeing was poor. After that, the media was biased. Watching NBA games could teach the referees in the WA few things. This is where things start to get interesting, though. Not only are the missed calls important, but so is what they stand for. Consider this: why is Clark being singled out in this way? She's too good, or what? Are they attempting to make her more resilient? Or is there another event taking place here? Is this the way the WNBA treats its top players, you ask? Allowing them to be tossed about like pinballs? It's detrimental to the league as a whole, not just to Clark. Imagine all the girls who watch these games and hope to play in the WNBA in the future. What message do we want to convey to them? I find it less thrilling to watch fouling and bullying occur in the game when there is excessive aggressiveness. And I believe that Caitlin Clark, who plays a smooth style of basketball, shoots from a great distance, makes amazing passes, and handles the ball effectively, is the reason why many of these casual fans, and more especially many of these casual fans, have started watching the WNBA. That's the kind of play that people are coming for. Post players that post up on each other, drop step, one step to the basket, and cheap shots are not what they are looking for. But what's the answer in this case? Do we require new referees, new regulations, or perhaps it's... The future of WNBA officiating is currently looking bleak, therefore it's time for the league to take charge and say enough is enough. Furthermore, we may be dealing with more than just missed calls if nothing changes quickly. We might be examining the league's own future. In actuality, though, we are all two-eyed. Everybody watched the games. Everyone saw that there. There were moments when things were exaggerated. She was obviously targeted at times, as we all witnessed. It was evident to all of us that the referees did not always shield her. We observed that Christy Sides did not always shield her. We observed that she wasn't always tense when she should have been. The de-escalation committee was present. At times, we witnessed her attempting to prevent Aaliyah Boston from becoming agitated. Everybody watched. Everybody watched. You may now wonder if this is a one-time occurrence. Perhaps the referees simply had a bad day. You're going to get a surprise, boy. This is not a singular occurrence. Play after play, game after game, it's occurring. There seems to be an unspoken norm. Let Clark be hard when it comes to him. It might take a combination of accountability, openness, and consistency to improve officiating. A complete makeover might include new technology and training, and implementing call explanations like those in the NBA might improve viewers' comprehension of choices. In addition to fostering trust, the league's open and honest handling of these problems would demonstrate its dedication to fair play. I'm not sure if I've witnessed a player be suspended from the WNBA this season. Do any of you guys recall Draymond's season when he was doing all these various stuff and kicking people in the nuts? He was immediately suspended. And that was to serve as a warning to other players that this would not be accepted. They made it extremely evident that you cannot undercut a three-point shooter as they are going up for a three-point shot. Instead, you must allow them to come down from their position. That is something that the WNBA needs to do much more to regulate and implement. However, one thing is certain: this problem isn't going away anytime soon, regardless of what happens next. This cannot be ignored because Clark is too good and crucial to the game. Fans will continue to demand answers while she is on the court, facing this unique whistle. Stay tuned as we are just beginning our exciting journey through the WNBA's referees. A nightmare. We have additional examples and breakdowns, and believe me when I say that things only get more bizarre from here. Do you believe Chicago's no call was a bad one? Simply wait to see what transpired next. Recall that we claimed those poor decisions were only the start. This officiating fiasco is going to blow out in ways you never imagined, so hold on to your hats. We are no longer merely discussing a few overlooked whistles. The WNBA's core foundation is being shaken by this powerful earthquake. You may be asking yourself, come on, it's only basketball. How bad can it be if only everything were that easy? It's like throwing a stone into a pond every time a referee blows their whistle during a Caitlin Clark drive. Believe me, the impact of those ripples is enormous, and they are spreading throughout the league. Let's take a moment to zoom out and see the larger picture. The WNBA as a whole is being completely upended by this, and it's no longer just about Caitlin Clark. These non-calls are transforming everything, including game outcomes and player safety. And you know what? The supporters are speaking out about it. Additionally, learn from the NBA. The NBA's actions improve the product. Allow these women to. Allow them to make arguments and put an end to these cheap shots. Additionally, a special whistle should be given to the superstars on all levels, including Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Asia Wilson, Nafisa Collier, and Caitlin Clark. They all need a unique whistle, Neko Ogumike. The stars are those. When you reach that level, you are granted that privilege. As they say, the clients are always right. Sports fans are unhappy customers. People are shouting enough and turning off their TVs. Can you believe fans are leaving the game they love due to referee drama? It's ridiculous yet true. Refusing to call some of these cheap shots and highly harsh fouls against other players except Caitlin Clark. You can find collections online. If these are not solved, viewers will quit watching the WNBA, which will hurt its growth and interest in players other than Caitlin Clark. However, things become interesting here. Are you serious? Indeed it is. The integrity of a league is being questioned. The game becomes terrifying when spectators lose faith in what they see on the court and suspect manipulation. Fans are no longer alone. Players want fair play, coaches are losing it, and top analysts are worried. The kicker, this goes beyond now and tomorrow. Long-term damage is at danger. Every whistle is tied by Caitlin Clark, missed call, and non-flagrant. Everything adds up. The sum. The future of women's basketball is uncertain. Don't assume this ends the story. Not at all. True basketball fans, players, and aficionados won't accept this.